What's going on, hustlers? Back at you guys with another video. Before we get into today's topic though, click the link down below to get access to one of three things: either our free PDF or our free Skool community, or there's something else, or our website. Our website also takes you to our contact page. There's something else that I needed to pitch, but I forgot, but it's going to be down below. Bunch of free stuff. Free Skool communities created. I'm gonna have a video out on that for you guys. And today's topic is the 5 traits that you need to be a successful government contractor. Now, this week's videos are all gonna be super quick. I'm just gonna fire them off. I don't think any of them are gonna end up being more than 10 minutes long. I'm just gonna give you guys as much value as I can, boom, 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 boom. And I do wanna clarify, if you message me or something and then I'm busy or I don't get back to you, it is because I'm literally just in the process of waiting for my commercial check ride. So I'm just doing hella studying and I'm doing performance calculations, practicing all that stuff, pretty much chair flying, just doing a whole bunch of practice stuff. And I want to clarify that one of the vlogs, not the most recent one, but one of the vlogs, I said, oh, your boy's a commercial pilot. I misspoke. I'm an instrument rated pilot, and I was saying I get to start commercial training. Now I am literally getting ready to take my exam to become a commercial pilot. So that's what I'm working on. So I just wanted to clarify that. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first trait, you need to be thorough. You have to leave no stone unturned. And this is like a blanket kind of trait, like a blanket application, right? And realistically, what I'm talking about is thorough with your quality assurance. Don't cut corners, don't get lazy. You know what? I actually wasn't even going to talk about this, but one thing about being thorough, please make sure that your grammar and your punctuation is dialed in. When you're working with the government, one of the things that they look for is how good your grammar and punctuation is. So if you have really bad grammar, you need to download Grammarly and make sure that that's dialed. And then if you're reaching out to people to partner with, the quickest way for me to reject somebody's offer to work with me is if their grammar sucks. If you message me and you're oh, this happened literally just this past week. Somebody was oh, I have this huge opportunity for you, yada, 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 millions of dollars. And they sent me an email about it, but the grammar was just so bad that I was so turned off. So be thorough with your grammar, be thorough with your quality assurance. Don't cut corners when it comes to making copies of stuff, right? You guys just saw the packaging video. Don't cut corners when it comes to compiling all your traceability. Don't cut corners when it comes to how you take your pictures of your material. Just be very, very thorough, because this kills 2 birds with 1 stone, especially with your quality assurance. You never know if when DLA is going to ask for something in the future. And then you also never know who's going to be using your stuff or overseeing your stuff. And you could be developing a super healthy relationship with somebody because they're oh, this person's super thorough. So the first trait is being thorough. Make sure your grammar is thorough. Make sure your quality assurance is thorough. Make sure you're thorough in your market research. Second trait, selfless. Selfless, selfless, selfless. If you focus on improving the quality of life of other people, then by default, the quality of your life will go up. If you focus on solving problems for other people, the compensation that you get will increase significantly. And what I mean by that is, think about how you can make the U.S. government's life better. Think about how you can make life for DLA better. Think about how you can make the contracting officer's life easier by providing them the stuff, right? If all you're thinking about is taxpayer dollars, how quickly can I get this person to award this to me so I can get paid so that I can go and buy X, Y, Z, you're dead in the water, because people like me, people like Richard, people like Amos, people like Luis, people like Bunmi, they're going to eat your food. They're going to eat your lunch, because those people, those guys, they make it their entire life's mission to solve problems for DLA. Find really, really hard to find things for DLA. The moment that you start thinking, how do I scale my business so I can make X, Y, Z solely for the purpose of clout or solely for the purpose of generating money, you're dead in the water. But if you tell DLA, you're listen, I just want to solve problems for you. I just want to make your life really, really easy, and you make it about them rather than you, as a byproduct, you are going to get paid very handsomely when you do that, right? So the second thing is being selfless. And then not so much now, but when I was starting out, a lot of the ways that I was able to develop relationships with people was like, especially with your vendors, this is the biggest thing, is like, think of it as making them money. Like, don't even think about your markup, think of it as like, I am selling something that has been on this person's shelf for months and I'm helping them generate revenue, right? So I think the thing that really helped me develop like a lot of my relationships and like form really strong foundations with a lot of these vendors is I was like, okay, I'm going to take these first 1 to 3 transactions and make them entirely about offloading this. Like, if you tell me that you can only accept wire payments rather than ACH, I am going to find a way to send you a wire. If you tell me I need to fill out a credit card authorization form, I am going to send you a credit card authorization form. If you tell me that, you're barely selling this to me at cost, I'm not going to squeeze you and negotiate if it's one of our first few transactions, right? So being selfless and making things about, your vendors and, the people that you're doing business with on the other end that are allocating the tax dollars at DLA, that's a really big one. Number 3, Pragmatic. And this is kind of just a business thing in general. And for those of you guys that don't know, Pragmatic means you take like a very objective approach to life. You kind of remove your feelings from your decision-making process, and you're very much so just like, okay, how do I solve this problem without the extra fluff, right? So it becomes very, very easy once you start dealing with large problems to let your emotions cloud your judgment in terms of like, oh, I've already worked with, XYZ amount of people, and now I kind of want to make things about myself, but then, maybe in the long term, that ends up being detrimental to you, right? And then if something bad happens, which I'm going to make a story time about this, actually, Two Lines Aerospace's account got locked out. Like, we could not log into Dibs. Like, it happened, we got locked out twice within the last, 10 days, right? And the moment that you start getting emotional and like, oh God, I'm fucked. There's no way I can make any money from this. I'm burned. I'm losing contracts, right? Which did happen. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in contracts because of that. But when you remove your emotions from that and you're like, okay, I'm not going to think about how uncomfortable this is. I'm just going to think about how I can solve the problem. It becomes really easy to do. When I remember one time DLA asked us to send us proof that we shipped them these bearings and we were missing one. And rather than me freaking out and getting mad that I could possibly be on the hook for about $80,000, I literally was just like, okay, where do I go to find it? And I'm not even going to deal with reprimanding any of our team members. I'm not going to focus on getting mad. That is just not conducive to the situation. I just took a very pragmatic approach to finding the documents for the quality assurance. So that's number 3. Number 4, be very macro minded. So think very much so big picture. Think, how much of a slice of the pie are you actually getting in relation to how much money DLA actually spends? Because the moment that you start thinking just about yourself and what's in front of you in the moment, then you're kind of going to be at a disadvantage because the scale of your ideas is going to be a lot smaller, right? So one of the big picture ideas that I can't even say I had, but my dad had was as a byproduct of me selling surplus, I just happened to be selling a whole bunch of Lockheed Martin and Sikorsky stuff. And he was like, let's think about how we can sell their brand new stuff or how we can get in with them. And he was very macro minded, and he was thinking okay, from a macro perspective, Day has already sold a whole bunch of this company's stuff. Why don't we just continue this trend? And then rather than only sink our teeth into surplus, let's see, okay, how do we sell this company's new stuff? Since we've shown them we have the quality assurance processes in place to be able to sell their stuff and make sure that we're doing our due diligence. So being very macro minded is a great trait to have. And the 5th one is being understanding. So there's 2 aspects of being understanding, and I'm going to talk about this solely in relation to DLA right now, and then I'll talk about your vendors as well. So be understanding to the people on the other side working for DLA. What I mean by that is, a couple years ago, when I first got in the game, it used to be that everybody that was there was super experienced and they were just underserved. And I started during COVID. This business started during COVID, right? And all the older people that were super experienced, they could still kind of get stuff done because, you know, they had experience. It's the best teacher, right? So during COVID, they were working remotely. They didn't mind it. It was fine, but you couldn't really hire people during COVID. I mean, my parents did, but that's because they're crazy and they're risk takers, right? So DLA couldn't really hire people during COVID, so they were super underserved. And then DLA started bringing back in, like, okay, let's come back to the office. Let's do partial work weeks, 3 days, then eventually 4 days, then eventually 5 days, right? So what happened is all those older people that had experience, they were already at that retirement age. So the problem went from DLA being underserved but having a lot of experience to now DLA has hired a whole bunch of people. They have basically the infrastructure and the manpower to be able to, you know, oversee these contracts. But now everybody's super green. It's a bunch of new people that don't have a lot of experience. And there's a lot of bureaucracy involved when you're doing business with the government. Not everybody knows everybody. Documents don't get transferred as quickly. Information isn't exchanged as quickly. It's taking time for these people to get up to speed. So be understanding to the fact that a lot of the people that are working now with DLA are super new. And they're still learning the ropes. And a lot of people that were there that were making the operation run super smoothly in the past have been there for 10, 20, 30, 40 years at a time. So be understanding. Number two, we kind of talked about this with the selfless thing, is just be understanding of your vendors, right? Like maybe they're having a bit of a rough patch. Like I enjoy making money. I enjoy wheeling and dealing. I enjoy the negotiating aspect, but it's not always about squeezing the other person. I forget who said this, but there was a book that I was reading, and it was about like negotiations, and it was like a good negotiator always allows the other man to feel like he won as well. The moment that you start negotiating, you're like, I am going to absolutely squeeze this guy and not leave anything for him. That's when you end up dead in the water. So I think a big thing is just being understanding to your vendor and not always trying to squeeze them for everything that they have, knowing that like you can take an extra $50 a unit off and it's 20 units, so it's an extra $1,000. Like just be understanding, you know, they're holding inventory. I don't teach you guys to hold inventory. So for them, it's a different ball game. And we can do everything online. We can do everything remote. These guys have a brick and mortar business. So just be understanding of everything that comes with that. So that those are my 5 traits of successful government contractors. Number 1 is being thorough. Number 2, selfless. Number 3, pragmatic. Number 4, macro-minded. Number 5, understanding. So those are my 5 tips for you guys. Click the link down below. Join our free Skool community. Hit me up on Instagram if you want our free PDF. Or click the link down below if you want to hop on a call with one of our team members and see if you're a good fit. As always, hustlers, it is a pleasure. And not only am I hoping for your success, I am sure of it. Let's go print those dollars.